my pleasure to ask our president of the association this year, Richard Wagner, come up and say a few words.
Hi, thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. First, let me start by thanking Steve and his staff. You guys do a great job. You set a standard that you all certainly should be very proud of, and you've made my job as president of the Wire Association much easier, and I appreciate it. So here we are, 70th anniversary of a great tradition. Somehow I managed to have been around for more than half of that, believe it or not, and it's good to be a survivor. So during the 70 years, there have been considerable change due to market conditions, innovation, and the flattening of our world. For example, our company, InSteel, started in 1953 as a concrete block manufacturer. And through the opportunities, through the various cycles, our company went into architectural precast products and pre-stressed concrete products, and they did a lot of infrastructure works. In the early 70s, a difficult cycle arrived, and there was a steel shortage. And our founders got some partners in the steel business, and they started the first wire plant where they converted a architectural concrete facility that we have in Mount Airy, North Carolina, into our first wire products facility. And that led to a lot of growth and expansion, and we went into many parts of the wire business, and we exited the concrete manufacturing business all through the different cycles that happen in our economy. In around 2000, in another difficult cycle, we focused on concrete reinforcing products and sold off the other wire products facilities we have, and we've maintained that core competency focus since then. So I guess the point is, all of the cycles bring some sort of an opportunity. There's been nothing easy about this past 70 years. In the worst periods, you can see declining P&Ls trigger painful contractions. In the good times, we tend not to enjoy the prosperity because by the time it gets there and you notice it, you're preparing for the next cycle, which is certainly going to be some form of a downturn. And as uncomfortable and disruptive as our current conditions are, I'm sure that the wire industry is full of talented people that can manage through all sorts of adversity. And most importantly, I want to mention that this clockwinding symbolizes the global alliance and collaboration that are essential for our survival. Bob?
Thank you, Richard. One thing I did learn when I was asked to MC this is that what I always thought of the tin makers or the tin wire works was a very short term until I read the plaque on the wall and realized it said, Laurence Mutkin is the present Upper Warden of the British Worshipful Company of Tinplate Workers alias Wire Workers of the City of London. Try saying that 2 or 3 times fast. I think I've never heard it already expressed until I read it today, and I went, oh my God, I've always just referred to it as tin makers. Laurence is kind of a unique individual, as I read his bio that he sent to us graciously, that he's been with the Tin Makers Company 30 years. He presently the Tin Makers organization is celebrating its 350th anniversary come up in 2020, and Laurence will hold the office of Master of the Company during part of that celebration. The company retains strong links with our industry, and we thank you for coming today to make the annual winding a success. I asked somebody today, several people, the clock has never stopped except to be cleaned, a very short period of time. And only 1 year, if anybody in this room can remember, the clock winder that we had on a specified year did not make it due to travel arrangements, and we were given the blessing, kind of like the Pope, to wind the clock for him, but it has never been missed. So we'd ask Laurence to please come up and do the honors.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, let me begin by thanking you very much for inviting me to come and perform this celebrated duty. It's a great privilege, and it's very nice to have the chance to meet you guys. Thanks especially, Steve, for organising everything, and Bill for getting me over the final line, so I actually turned up here. So why is it me? Well, as you say, the tinplate workers, alias wire workers. What is that thing? So when it was founded, together with all these city livery companies, they're really guilds, right? They're there to regulate the medieval trades that took their name. There are more than 100 of these guilds. There are goldsmiths, there are wheelwrights, there are people who do things that no one knows what they are anymore. Pattern makers is one of those. Patterns apparently were the things that ladies used to put under their shoes before walking in the obviously disgusting streets of medieval London. Less used nowadays. And of course there were tinplate workers, alias wire workers. And I'm pleased to say that our company has still quite a lot of links with the wire industry itself. Probably about a third of the membership are people who are directly involved in steel and wire. Of the remainder, most of them, like me, are really there because previous generations had links with steel and wire. My father was active in the British Steel Corporation for many years, and a few years subsequently in smaller companies in Sheffield. And I think that's one of the strengths of the tinplate workers livery company, because otherwise what are we for? I mean, it's just like a 350-year-old dining club. Seems a bit pointless, but we're really for two things. We're for charity. We hand out a lot of charity money, and we're for the industry. We're for the trade, and we have quite a lot of apprenticeship programs. We try and sponsor people into the industry, and I think the most important, or certainly one of the signature programs that we run is the program that we run with the Wire Association International here, where once a year, as you know, somebody comes from the US who's in the industry to see the industry in the UK, and every other year somebody goes from the UK and comes here. And I think that program is a tremendous reason for the tinplate workers to be here for 350 years. It's very important. It helps maintain individual or boost individual skills and contacts, but also I think it helps the industry, as you said, stay more international. And at times like this, good links are a good thing. So I am really I'm going to be the master of tinplate workers primarily because my father's a steel man. Sounds rather sort of old-fashioned as a reason, but I do have quite a lot of links with the US. I did spend one semester in a school just outside Detroit when I was at high school, due to, weirdly enough, another exchange program run by something called the English Speaking Union. And although I've worked in finance my whole career, until very recently I've worked only for US institutions, so I feel much more comfortable in US institutions and the way they work than my new billet in European institutions, which is interesting and exciting in a new and different way. Anyway, so that's enough about why I'm here. I was thinking about technology, as there's so much talk about it. I was thinking how high-tech this clock was in 1770. I mean, this would have been pretty cutting edge, right? A clock at all is pretty high-tech, and a clock you don't have to wind for a year. I would not like to try to make one of those, or even begin to make one of those. And I guess wire, again, when the tinplate workers, alias wire workers, was established, tinplate was high-tech. It was the end of wooden buckets, right? Wire was high-tech in all kinds of ways. I mean, wire is still high-tech. Obviously, I came over here this morning in a Boeing 747. Does anyone know how many miles of wire there are in a Boeing 747? Okay, I'll give you, so I looked this up. There are basically 23 Boeing 747s in a mile. How many miles of wire in a Boeing 747? 60? 171 miles of wire in a Boeing 747, presumably all kind of coiled up, I'm thinking. So, you know, it's not like this tech is old tech. It's still highly necessary. You know, fly-by-wire is a phrase. I'd much rather fly in a plane with wire than without wire. Anniversary. So, as you say, amazing that it's 70 years of winding this clock. It's also 18 years since the exchange program began, Bev told me. Most recently, I guess, we had from the US, we had Chris Palish come from you to visit us in the UK. The year before, Bruce Jones came from what used to be British Steel, was, I think, Tata Steel when he came and is now British Steel again, in Scunthorpe, and had a very illuminating and enjoyable visit here. I do think that this the program is about, I guess the selection process is about to start again for the next Brit to come over to you. But I would like to express once again how important I think this, in the Tinplate Workers Company, how important this exchange program is now. And I think the bonds between the US and the UK industries at the moment need all the help they can get given the general state of trade and so on in the world. So an important thing. Now finally, I guess you all know this, I learned there's this motto, tenere non potes nec perdere, pardon my pronunciation of the Latin, which means we think time cannot be kept or destroyed. But it can be wasted, obviously, and I can, and you must be thinking, what about winding the clock now? So let me just say thank you very much again for the privilege of inviting me to do this, and it's very nice to be here and to meet you. Thank you. You better tell me how to do this. Thank you. It's going in there.
Okay. And then you just wind it clockwise.
Of course. And the clock is not about to tip over. Oh, and the needle goes round.
Yes, back to zero.
And the weight is coming up. This is technology. This is great. If only the battery on my mobile phone. This is easy and efficient. Now, I don't want to overdo it, so you better tell me when to stop.
So that's probably good.
How fantastic. Thank you very much. I better give you that. Thank you.
First of all, this is a tie with, of course, the superimposed flags and the clock and the winding key.
That's
to commemorate the event.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and as you saw, one of our artists, when we had the 50th celebration, did a pen and ink of the clock, and this is a replica, a copy of it, along with a plaque commemorating your winding of the clock.
Thank you so much. I love it.
And since it may be a little brisk today, the Wire Association, so you.
A fleece? Is it?
Yeah, it's a fleece. Yeah, yeah, to
There you
keep
go.
warm. So, thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming over.
Thank you very much
And,
indeed. It's a great pleasure. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, everybody.